You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose.
Your own jingle, Ashley. I
As long as
love
you're
that.
happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. As long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in.
Good afternoon. So this is a new one for me. My guest hasn't turned up. So what does it mean for you? What it means is you are going to get a presentation that I did a couple of weeks ago, where I shared loads of tips for creating content. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you've got any questions about content, then please just drop those questions in the chat, and I will get to those as and when we can. I just upgraded my sound. And the beauty is of doing a live, it means that every single week you're doing a live. And this is the very first time that someone hasn't shown up on the day, which is a real shame because I've done over 300 shows. So it's not me. So without any further ado, let's go in and I'll share my slides, because what I've done is I do presentations regularly. Some of them I charge for, some of them I do for free. So if you want me to come and do a presentation to your company, to your group, your association, whatever it is, I can do that for you. And, you know, just share my love for LinkedIn. I just absolutely love LinkedIn, and I want more people to do LinkedIn. So I've created this content presentation to just try and get over why we don't do content. I want you to create content. I want you to get noticed. I've already got some comments coming in. Hi, Michal. Thank you for shouting. This is a show just on my own today. So if you've got any questions about content, then please put them in. So I want you to love LinkedIn. I want you to create content. And the biggest problem we have with creating content, we don't know what to write about. And there's loads of other things going on in our mind. So where do we go from? I normally ask questions of the audience, but there isn't any today that's going to be able to come in live. But this is what I'm going to show you today. And stay with me, because right at the end, I'm going to be sharing you the best time to create content. I've been in sales for over 32 years, and I know for a fact that people buy from people who they know, who they like, and who they trust. And it's using LinkedIn to build up that trust. We need to use LinkedIn to create content so people see us as helpful. They see us as likable and trustworthy. And that's what we're doing when we create content. If we don't create content, no one's going to know anything about our personality unless we're doing a lot of comments. So why LinkedIn? It's free. It's 1 billion users, but less than 5% of people actually create content. Just let that settle for a second. Less than 5% of people. That means if you create content, you're better than 95% of other people on the platform. Now, this is the framework that I teach when I do LinkedIn. So there's lots of different pillars in my strategy, but the one that we're concentrating on today is creating content. So why don't you create content? What's your excuse? Why is it you don't create content? These are all the different things that I hear about creating content. There's technical barriers. They worry about what kit we can use. Look, we've all got one of these. So that's the thing we should be doing. We don't know what to use, what platforms, stuff like that. And that just gets too technical. We're worried about being judged. We don't have the confidence to stand in front of a camera like I am today and just chatting. We don't have the time or stuff. We worry about what others are doing. There's loads of content all over the place. Maybe we want it to be, perfect. Or maybe we're worried about privacy. And one I heard recently was there's rules and regulations against some of the content that people create. So if you're governed by certain agencies, so I know financial advisors who are under the FSA, there's certain things they can and cannot say. And so rather than say what they can say, they say nothing. So it's getting over those issues and problems. But this is why we should create content. We become known. We make connections. We can attract clients and improve hiring. If you're running a business and you're struggling to recruit staff at the moment, just think if everybody in your team was creating great content, people would go, oh my goodness, this is a great place to work. It really does work. But it's the best way to build know, like, and trust. And that's what we're doing when we're on LinkedIn. So a lot of this is in our minds. We worry about stuff and goodness knows what else. And when I come to this slide, I always say that there's no saber-toothed tigers in Devon. There probably isn't anywhere. But when we were invented, we had the fight or flight response hardwired into our brains. Otherwise, we'd be extinct now, because we'd be looking at the saber-toothed tiger and thinking, what beautiful colors, it's got the amazing markings. Look at those nice shiny teeth. All those things we'd be saying because we wouldn't be afraid of it. But it's modern day now. And if you've ever seen this presentation, you'll see me doing an act of me going down the death slide. But the bottom line is, the very first time you jump off a death slide, a drop slide, one of these slides at the amusement places, you are petrified. But once you've done it, it's dead easy. And it's exactly the same when we create content. Nobody cares. We're too busy worrying about everything else to worry about what you're writing. And this is the thing that I hear all the time. People do not know what to write about. One of the things that I do when I'm out and about doing my daily things and whatnot, I take photos. I take lots of photos. I've always got my phone with me, and I'll take a photo because I see something. I go, that would make a good post. As a photo of me outside a shop window taken a couple of weeks ago. It's still in my camera roll. And when I come into work one day and I don't have anything to write about, I'll go to that post. So take more photos and think about, as you're wandering around, oh my goodness, this, you might hear something on the radio. You might watch something on the TV. You might hear something at a networking event. Content is everywhere. And once you start creating more content, you get into the way of creating content. You start feeling it, you start thinking about it, and you will see content absolutely everywhere. So you have a unique story. I've done this presentation to a group of, and everyone in the room does the same business, but we're all absolutely unique. You've got to think about your story and really grasp that you are unique. What happened in your early career? Maybe before you started work, management roles, wherever you are today. You've got this story. And this is my story, okay? When I first started work, I was a chef. I met my wife. We got married. I went and did sales. I've got a couple of girls. I've been working with accountants for a while. I've been coaching accountants. And 3.5 years ago, I became self-employed. So that is my story that I bring into my content on a regular basis so that people start to understand where I've come from. I didn't just appear overnight. I'm not an overnight success. I've been doing this for many years. And all of those years of doing all those things have built me to the person that I am today. And I am unique. And you are unique too. So if you look what it all means, you can grab hold of different things there and say, oh, actually, being a chef shows that I'm disciplined. It shows that I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm married, so therefore I've got loyalty. I'm a sales guy. I'm able to negotiate. I can talk to people. With my 2 daughters, I have a purpose. When I work with accountants, it shows that I work with professionals. So that is transferable skills to other things. I'm coaching accountants, so I'm adaptable, and I'm self-employed. So I'm an entrepreneur. I've even put there I'm a risk taker. So it's those sorts of things that you could put in your story so that when you talk to people, you can start weaving that in when you write content. When you get back home tonight, why don't you just brainstorm where you are and work out why you're unique? What makes you unique? Think about what you've done in your early career, what you've learned. You might have learned something last week. That's great content, but that builds into a future story. Who's inspired you over the years? A couple of weeks ago, I wrote a post all about my very first sales manager and some of the things that he did and said. And so there's all these stories that are going on. And where are you now? Share those stories, because we're all interested. We want to know how it's going. Where are you today? We can relate with you. Think about where your prospects are hanging out. When you write this content, think about who they are and who are they following, and where all the related places are. I love working with accountants and bookkeepers, and I'm connected to an awful lot of people that work in these places. And by understanding my audience, my content is written with all of that in mind. Your clients are also going to follow all of these types of people. So think about who they're writing for and use some of their ideas to come up with your ideas, because business owners are all following these types of people. You might be in a niche, so think about that. Now, on my previous slide, I had Accountex up there, which is a great big exhibition for accountants and bookkeepers. I am sure that in your industry, there is going to be a big exhibition that happens once a year or two. There's going to be a publication that people subscribe to. And all of these people that are linked to those exhibitions, the subscriptions, the magazines, the online forums, they're going to be people that are going to love your content. And that's where you need to be thinking about. So what do I write? I have actually written a book, so it's up there behind me. But we worry too much. Is this you? Are you worried what people will think? Guess what? And I've already said it once today. Nobody cares. Absolutely nobody cares. And this is the thing. We did this last night. So you've probably got a streaming site. And on here, I've got, this is Netflix, and it's suggesting that I watched Ricky Gervais. It's number 2 in the charts when I did this screenshot. And you've probably sat down with your partner, friend, child, or whatever, and said, what should we watch tonight? And we did exactly the same last night, because it's getting all Christmassy. So we found a new Christmas movie on Netflix and sat and watched it. I know other streaming sites are available. And I turned around to Debs and I said, oh, should we watch this? And yeah, that'll be a good idea. And we started watching it. And it was okay, this one. But, we've watched stuff in the past. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, oh, my goodness, this is rubbish. What do you think? Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? It's normally he's a really good actor or she's a really good actor. And so you turn it off. That's happened to you, hasn't it? I know it's happened to you, because every time I do this in a room full of people, everybody puts their hand up. What do you do when you've decided with your other person you're watching it with that it's rubbish and we're going to turn it off? Do you contact Netflix and say, hey, that show that you've just put on is absolute rubbish? Do you write to the actor or the actress and say, look, my goodness, I've seen you in loads of other films, but this one just was rubbish? Or do you write to the producer or the director and say, hey, I've seen all your screenplays before and they've been brilliant, but this one was rubbish? You don't. You just don't, because you do not care. There's so many other programs on Netflix, Prime, and all the others that you can just press a button and go and find something else. And this is the thing, right? Is there's loads of content on Netflix and there's loads of content on LinkedIn. And so therefore, if I don't like this bit of content, I'm going to scroll on by and then find something else. And your first few posts, your first 10 posts, your first 20, 30, 50, 100 posts will not get much traction, but keep going, because they do. Mihal's just put here, he remembered my session at Accountex in London, and this is basically the same presentation. You're saying there, Mihal, that I'm great for content ideas. It's only because I've been practicing. Yeah. You watch somebody that's really good at squash. Okay. You go, oh my goodness, they're amazing at squash, but they've been playing for years. You see all these top athletes. Max Verstappen has just won the Grand Prix, the Formula One championship. He's been practicing for years. He didn't just start out as a driver in F1. He started off many, many years ago when he was a young lad driving go-karts. And he's just built up that muscle memory. And it's exactly the same with creating content. I'm no better than anybody else. I've just been practicing. And I think that's the key. But you've got to start and stop worrying what other people will say. Just create your content and see what happens. What's the best that can happen? And I love this slide because most people turn around and say, what's the worst that can happen? But what is the best that could happen if you just take 5 minutes and create a little bit of content? All right, it might take you a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but you get what I mean. So what are the best excuses for not creating content, huh? Got no idea what to post. People dislike me for being too much in their face. I'm busy working on the perfect content for me to share. My connections don't care about seeing my posts. People already know what I might write about. Some of these excuses, you're probably thinking, that's me. If they are, they're just excuses. I don't want to get judged. I'm too afraid of posting. Posting is too complex. Only influencers should be posting. Why do we think like this? Why do we even think we should just do it? It's not my thing. I only like scrolling. Just remember that really nobody cares. They don't care until you care or until you make them care. If you create content that resonates with them, they'll want to know more and they'll keep following you. So why do we need to post? It's all very well coming up with excuses, but what are the main reasons to create content? It puts you front of mind. If you're thinking of hiring an accountant and you see a post from Michal this morning talking about accounting or what have you, that's front of mind. Who are you going to phone? Your activity will drive profile views. So if you create regular content, people are going to go and look at your content, or at your profile. When they're at your profile, they see what you do. They're going to follow you. They're going to connect with you. They might even buy from you, but they're seeing you on a regular basis. If you're posting regularly, people will keep viewing your profile. They won't just go and have a look once. They'll keep going back. They'll say, oh, I remember this. And they'll keep going back. And that's what you want, because if people are looking at your profile, you can put all kinds of things on your profile to point them in the right direction. Your decent about section, a featured section, a link to your website. All of these things help. But without the content, they're not going to keep coming back. At the bottom of every single post, there's this little bar that says repost. And reposting, I see a lot of people reposting because they're not creating their own content. So if you give them good content that they can actually post and repost, then your content is going to get pushed to someone else's audience, which is absolutely amazing. So if you don't create content, that's not going to happen. And posting valuable content positions you as an authority in your area. Like I just said about Michal, if he creates some content today, we might go and have a look. But people keep seeing Michal's content. They're going to be saying, my goodness, this guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to accounting. And this is what happens when you create content. Could even get booked to do a talk at Accountex in Canada. Yes, that actually happened to me. I also had my own stand at Accountex in Canada. And the thing is, it was all from this one post. This one post got me that gig eventually, not overnight. But the thing is, right, if you create a bit of content, people are going to see it, people are going to act on it. And that one post was seen by Lorraine Ellison. And Lorraine Ellison runs the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. And she turned around to me and said, hey, I saw your post all about scope creep, and that is something that resonates with our members. Would you be able to come and do a short talk at our spring conference? When I set my business up, I never thought that I would be a public speaker. I never thought I'd be doing a live. I never thought I'd have a podcast, all these different things that could happen, including Jamie Radford said I could even get a book to speak at the APA. And this is the thing, Jamie, if I didn't put that one post out, okay, then I wouldn't have been seen by Lorraine Ellison. And then all the other things that happened because of that wouldn't have happened. So I returned again in 2023 and did their closing keynote. I ended up doing a Countex in 2023, and I did a Countex in 2024, which is where, Jamie, you saw me. I've done an AAT member day, Team 17 position, where I was on the same stage as, I forgot, his name's gotten right in my head, Patrick Keelty. Patrick Keelty was on the same stage. And I've been doing podcasting for a Countex. I've done the APA, and this year I've just come back from Canada. So I'm now an international speaker. But all of that was just from that one post. So why aren't we creating content? So the biggest problem we have is I don't know what to write about. But the thing is, you've all got clients. You've got a client that's got a problem. What are those problems? And what I say to people is you should be actually writing content to help people with those problems. So if you're a VA, for example, a virtual assistant, you're going to be using things like Outlook and other tools to make life easier for you to help your clients. So why don't you share what you do to help other people? Now, I could hire you and you could show me all of this, but you could just share that stuff. If you make all of that stuff available to me for free, I am going to see you as an expert on being a VA. Okay, so there might be 3 things you could do with a spreadsheet to help us today. These are the 4 most popular software packages I use to run my VA business. And the thing is, right, you're probably cringing now thinking, I don't want to give away all my secrets. Well, let me tell you something. Come here. There's a website called YouTube. On that website called YouTube, I can put in absolutely any topic I wish, and someone would have created a video that is going to help me fix that. So you're not actually giving anything away. What you're doing is you're being a signpost for all this technical knowledge. Okay, I may not hire you as a VA, but if I keep seeing you sharing all this amazing stuff, I'm now thinking, oh my goodness, this person is an amazing VA. I keep seeing them. They're sharing me this, they're sharing me that. And that's the thing, okay? The day I need a VA, where am I going to go? The day I'm talking to somebody and they say, oh my goodness, I need a VA, who am I going to shout about? And that's the thing. So write about the problems that your clients are having, write about how you help them and what you can do. So they've got pains. Talk about those pains. This is how we fix. Okay. There's loads of, I love DIY, and I've done a few things around the house, but there's loads and loads of people out there filming videos on how to do stuff. And there's a lot of people who fix appliances. That's their job. They fix appliances, but they give away how they do it, because there's people like me that would have a go. But because we see that they're sharing that knowledge, if I'm going to hire someone, I'm going to hire someone that knows what they're talking about. There's those sorts of things that you need to be coming up with. Maybe think about your target customer, their job title, or where they're based, or how big they are, or what industry that they're in. You could write about those sorts of things to appeal to them. Or maybe share why you're different. We like to do this because this is the way we do this. Our clients do that. Those sorts of things make you a little bit different. So Samantha Mitchum is somebody I talk about an awful lot. She's been on my stage a few times talking about content, and she actually wrote down in a journal to share what she did in 2021. So every single Monday, she did a motivational Monday. She did tax tip Tuesdays, workout Wednesday, throwback Thursday, and feel good Friday, which means that every single day she knew what she was going to write about. So to get you started, pick one day, and every single Wednesday, write that one post. So you'll start thinking of it. So let's just think of picking on Samantha there, Workout Wednesday. So this week you're going to do press-ups. Next week you're going to do sit-ups. But I promise you, by the time you get to the following week, you'd have probably thought of 3 or 4 other things that you could talk about on that specific day. And that's the best way to get you into creating content. Once a week is better than 95% of people on the platform. There's loads of different types of content that you could do: text only, photos, videos, polls, documents like a carousel. And I'm not going to talk about them here today because we're running out of time. But there's loads of different content ideas that you could use using the tools within LinkedIn. When someone comments on our post, what do? We keep the conversation flowing. We comment back and we start having that conversation all over again. And if you make your content comment worthy, then more people are going to start commenting on your post, and you start building up a reputation for conversations and things like that. You can even push it to the DMs. So, like I promised at the top of this show, when is the best time to post? Do you know? Do you have a best time? Loads of people ask me this question all the time. If I had a penny for every single one I was asked for, I'd have 76 pence now. But, so when is the best time to post? Is it Tuesday at 7:30 a.m.? What about Fridays at 12:30 p.m.? Or maybe even a Sunday at 5 p.m., just as everyone's getting ready for work the next day. Here we go. The best time to post is now. Stop worrying about the algorithm. It's different for everybody. So just create that content. Don't worry. I see people doing all kinds of tests, but they're doing kinds of tests on their network. And their network are probably used to them getting up at this sort of time and creating content, or creating content here. You might be, you might have some American clients, so or people following you. So you'd be better off posting in the afternoon because they're not up yet. And it's all those sorts of things that you've got to take into consideration. So don't worry about when the best time to post is. Just get your content out there. Because if we look for excuses not to get it out there, we won't do it. So just get it out there. And then you'll start developing a flow, and then you'll start to find out when the best time for you is, not any of the pre-described times that I've just suggested. I love to talk about personal content. This is a picture of me carrying a balloon down the street when I did a post for my daughter's birthday. Now, when my little girls were tiny, we used to get a little balloon and hang it on their high chair for when they came down for breakfast and made the day special. And we've just carried on that tradition. And when I went to the balloon shop to pick up the balloon, the guy turned around to me and said, "Who's the balloon for?" And I said, "It's my daughter." And he said, "Oh, can I ask how old she is?" When I said 28, you could have knocked him down with a kipper. And as I was carrying the balloon home, I turned around to my wife and I said, "Let's take a photo of this because this is great content." And I shared that story on LinkedIn. Now that story that week got so many more results than I did on the other post that I did. So it was a top performing post that week with 7,688 comments. And the nearest one was 2,577. So you can see the disparity because it was a personal post. Now on the screen there, you can see the QR code. If you're listening in the podcast, I will put that link, and that takes you to a little video that shares why I think we should do personal content on LinkedIn. So when you're writing your content, here's a couple of ideas for you. 5 reasons to use XYZ software. Is a limited company a good idea? 7 easy bookkeeping hacks. 3 ways to save tax, or Tax Tip Tuesday. And there's so many other ideas. You could change some of the words there to your industry to give you ideas to create content. I've also got a book. And I call it 101 ideas for LinkedIn, but it's actually 102 because if you take your selfie with it as well, then you can put that out. So there you go. That is That's what I can do. If my guest doesn't turn up, I can just pull something else that I've done before. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, which is totally different to anything that I've ever done here, because every week I interview somebody, then please let me know and I'll do more of these. But next week I have a specialist food person coming in to have a chat with me. She's a dietitian. She's called Jo Cunningham. And a few weeks ago, I did a post of my breakfast because I didn't know what to write about that day. And I'd taken a photograph a few days before. And I wrote, "Are you what you eat?" And Jo came on and added a few comments about seeds and stuff like that. So I'm really, really looking forward to having a chat with Jo Cunningham next week to find out what we should be eating and how to stay healthy. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Thank you for your comments, Jamie and Michal. And so I will be back next week with another edition of Live and LinkedIn. My name's Ashley Leeds. I'm the 15-minute guy, and I help people with LinkedIn. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell everybody else, because if you subscribe, more other people are going to find it. So thank you very much indeed, and we will see you again next week. Cheerio.